Respect to personal services that he provided to me and my family, we obviously paid for those services and did so because during a period of time we continued to need his technical assistance, and I think that's in the public record.
Jeff Zeleny, help me out. She says in the end, after she testifies to Congress, after the FBI looks at this, after reporters keep asking and asking and asking, we're going to see a conclusion that it's a bad judgment call. She should have had 2 email accounts, but she did nothing wrong. But why not months ago say, okay, my last name's Clinton, Congress is investigating this, the government's probably going to investigate this, I'm running for president, just put out a 10, 15, 20-page report. Here's the day it was installed. Here's the guy who did it. We paid him on the side. Why not just put it all out at the beginning?
Because she's Hillary Clinton and she is still in a lawyerly-like position. That every answer that she's given, if it was at her press conference on Saturday or in her interview on Friday with Andrea Mitchell, she sounded like Hillary Clinton, the lawyer. She's technically right on most of these things. But this has been an ongoing situation, a change of strategy. Initially, it was a partisan witch hunt. I'm not turning over the server. Remember that press conference at the UN in March?
It's private. It will stay private.
It will stay private. Okay, well, we knew that that was probably not going to be the case. So the problem is now she is to the point now she's trying to answer every question on this, but still unable to say, I'm sorry. When Andrea Mitchell asked her, are you sorry, she asked her repeatedly, I'm sorry for the confusion for the American people. Still not able to sort of get around saying, I'm sorry. I do think at the end of the day here, voters will probably get tired of this on the Democratic side. But the question of this still is, what will be lingering in the general election should she become the nominee? And is there still more out there we don't know? So there is frustration inside her campaign about how she wants to handle this, how she wanted to handle this. This is not necessarily her advisors telling her how to do all this. She's been driving this train, and now we see what's happening.
Let's listen a bit to that interview you mentioned, because she sat down a couple weeks ago. Remember, she sat down with CNN's Breonna Keeler. That was the idea. We're going to put this behind us. We're going to do a national media interview. Move on. Well, didn't work. So take 2. Sit down with Andrea Mitchell. Tough questions from Andrea Mitchell of NBC News. Hillary Clinton trying to make it go away again.
I am sorry that this has been confusing to people and has raised a lot of questions.
Do you want to apologize to the American people for the choice you made?
Well, it wasn't the best choice, and I certainly have said that.
This was supposed to be the new Clinton campaign. She got most of Obama's team. People said she had learned the lessons of 2008. But at least on this point, this is not only 2008 all over again. Be careful, be cautious, be lawyerly. I covered the Clinton White House through Whitewater, Rose Law Firm records, grand jury, Monica Lewinsky et al. Very, very familiar pattern.
The other thing she said in that interview was that she didn't really think about where the emails were going and where they were stored. Well, that's a little... You have to ask, really, because it is so complicated. It was stored at her house. She was paying someone outside. She clearly put a lot of thought into it. It wasn't just sort of a, oh, where's my email? I mean, they had, one of the most fascinating things about this is seeing the emails where the State Department is trying to figure out where her emails are coming from. They didn't, the State Department IT wasn't even really sure what was happening here. The State Department themselves said they didn't know this staffer who took the fifth had outside income until very recently. So there are more questions and more questions, and the answers just aren't sufficient right now.
And you know, 280 Republican House members and senators come back to town this week, and they will keep this going every day of the week on Capitol Hill. The idea that this is going away anytime soon is just foolhardy. And you know, and what is it? Jake Sullivan is up there again this week. Another Clinton aide will testify behind closed doors. You know, good for her to try to get out there and talk about it, but it's not working.
And she wants to say this is largely a media creation, that voters don't ask her about it. But we do see 53%, I'm sorry, unfavorable in the latest ABC Washington Post poll, and there's just the evidence. If you just see Bernie Sanders, yes, he's talking about issues, and to his credit, you know, he's not in the Democratic primary, he's not beating her up, but he's going up, and she's static or coming down.
Right, and as he said over the weekend, that does have to worry you if you're in the Clinton camp right now. I was just in Iowa, and I spoke to some folks in the different cities I was visiting about these issues, and they do care. They agree that it's a distraction, that it's not a central issue in the campaign, but it gets down to that all-important issue of trust, and a lot of the voters I'm talking to don't feel like this is an example where they say, yes, we can trust Hillary Clinton, and that's definitely got to be concerning at this point if you're looking at the numbers you just referenced.
Right, and as this plays out, we've watched Bernie Sanders gain traction in both Iowa and New Hampshire. We'll watch how that builds, and we're also also keeping an eye on the vice president, who this past week, Labor Day, he'll be marching in the parades this weekend. This past week, he was in Florida and in Georgia, very publicly talking about his own personal angst. He says he would love to jump into the 2016 race. He says it has nothing to do with Hillary Clinton, but watch him